There are calls for government to deal with the scourge of mass tavern shootings in the country. Now, over the weekend, 8 people died in separate shooting incidents in Mpumalanga and on Gauteng's East Rand. In both cases, gunmen entered the taverns in Mbombela and Daveyton and randomly opened fire. These are the latest tavern attacks in a string of many in recent months. Let's unpack this further. We're joined this morning by Lucky Ntimane, who is with the National Liquor Traders Association. Lucky, it's great to have you with us in studio. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much.
What is your organization's duty insofar as this is concerned?
Firstly, we are very much concerned about these tavern shootings because we understand that they pose an existential threat to the survival and sustainability of the tavern sector, as it were. Because the first thing that will ring in consumers' mind is it safe to go and drink at a tavern? And we had to deal with load shedding, which meant that at night, when there was no electricity, consumers were not coming into our establishments because it was not safe to walk in the dark. So now we have to deal with them worried about losing their lives at our establishments. Of course, that will worry us because we are concerned that we will not have taverns to talk about in the near future if the issue of crime in general is not solved, because we believe that what is happening in our taverns is generally a spillover of what's happening in the township. Taverns provide a safe space for people to consume alcohol.
Or they should.
They should, yes.
Yeah.
And I think the recent events have now shown us that it is not a safe environment, as it were. So we are concerned about the real possibility that taverns might not be with us for long if the spate of these killings go unabated. So we also need to get to the bottom of this to understand as to what are the underlying causes. Why will someone go into a tavern and start shooting at a crowd of people that are sitting and enjoying themselves, basically being lame ducks, without even attempting to rob them or take any of their belongings? They shoot and they leave. What is the cause of that? What is behind that? And we're hoping that the police in their investigation are going to uncover this motive so that it can be at least a cold comfort for taverns to know what is it that they need to do to protect themselves going forward. Now,
you're saying that you believe, that taverns represent, or these kinds of challenges represent what's already happening in communities, right? But there's another train of thought that says taverns and the consumption of alcohol at taverns actually feeds into the kinds of challenges we're seeing in communities. Increased violence, increased numbers of gender-based violence.
I think it would be a shortcut approach to take that view because the people that are killing themselves, it's not consumers that are killing themselves inside a tavern. It's someone who's coming from somewhere to come and shoot at these patrons that are enjoying themselves at the tavern. So I think to draw that link will be really unfair. I think taverns in general are safe spaces. It is unfortunate that, in the past few months, we have to talk about taverns and killings in one sentence, which is really unfortunate. But we do believe that if you look at the setup of a township environment, a tavern plays a very critical role in that, in the lives of people that are to be found in the township. That's where they go to have fun. That's where they go to watch sports, enjoy themselves, hang out with their friends. But now it seems that that institution that has been the cornerstone of what a tavern represents is now being threatened. So we cannot, in this instance, for example, blame a tavern as being a feeder of crime in the township. But we need to also appreciate and understand that irresponsible usage of alcohol and alcohol abuse can actually feed into crime. In this instance, we are talking about a responsible trader who's hosting patrons that are coming to support him being attacked. That's what worries us. But we also need to also understand that alcohol abuse in a country is a problem that we cannot afford to sweep under the carpet anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. It does raise the question, exactly what you've just pointed out, Lucky, of what the future of taverns in our areas are, given exactly the discussions that we're having that you've just talked about now. Alcohol abuse, the challenges in our communities, the fact that patrons are increasingly more and more vulnerable. If effectively, as you say, they are sitting ducks. You're even more vulnerable because you have consumed alcohol in a context where a gunman comes into a tavern. So what is the future of these establishments?
So taverns will need to diversify. They will need to start offering products outside of the alcohol range. If you look at what COVID-19 showed us, is that, by then we had about 39,000 taverns. They have now since grown in the past 3 years to about 42,000 taverns
really?
across the country, employing about 250,000 people. So what has since happened is that the reliance on selling alcohol is actually a threat to the very existence of taverns.
Right.
We saw during lockdowns that taverns could not operate because the product that they were selling were essentially banned. But those taverns that were selling food, they were able to at least bring something on that side. They were able to still continue to feed their families selling food. But we also want to create taverns to become destination places where even a non-drinker can actually go into a tavern to enjoy a plate of meal, or to have a cold drink or to have coffee. So taverns will need to change, because if we operate at the current status quo, unfortunately, we are not going to survive. So we need to be able to diversify and sell other things that are going to supplement our income outside of alcohol. And that will also help communities to support our businesses, because they know that we offer a wide variety of services outside of alcohol. And we need to be able to do that. So liquor traders need to think hard. If they want to survive and succeed going forward, we need to start offering things that are going to support our businesses going forward, so that we can withstand any pandemic that might be there in the future.
Yeah. And as you say, they are great employers. What was the number that you mentioned to us? 42,000 taverns employing? About
250,000 people. So if you look on average, a typical tavern will hire between 4 and 6 people. So they will come, most of those workers will come in over the weekend. So the business period for a tavern is between Friday and Sunday, which generate about 70% of their sales. So that's a big trading space for us, and that's when a lot of people get employed. Even though it's an informal employment, but at least people are able to put food on the table to support their families.
Yeah. So back to the issue of tavern shootings, which appear to be on the rise. We've been talking about what tavern owners can also do as police continue with their investigations. Are you seeing more CCTV cameras, for example, being installed? Because that will go a long way, not only to help police with their investigations, but also address the issue that we've also discussed around the vulnerability of patrons, who would then feel just that much safer.
It's a good approach. I think CCTV will go a long way in being a deterrent. Anyone who knows that they're being watched, will have to think twice. Yeah. Even though we understand that in Daveyton and also in Lekazi, Kanyamazan, those people were wearing balaclavas, so obviously they didn't want to be seen, because they knew that they were about to commit a heinous crime. But I think it will go a long way in deterring some of the would-be attackers, especially those that are, opportunistic criminals that might want to pounce on unsuspecting patrons that are enjoying themselves. But also I think taverns need to be creative around how they work together in communities. Maybe, have a group of patrollers that are going to be able to check, the surroundings, also gather insights and intelligence on what's happening in their communities. And over and above this, so as National Liquor Traders, in partnership with the Drinks Federation of South Africa, we are actually launching a campaign next week in Ntimane, where we are employing 40 community patrollers that are going to go into taverns and do audit checks, check for compliance within those taverns, but also assist them in ensuring that we're able to support our police in fighting crime. So we're looking at Pretoria West, Pretoria Central, Pretoria East, Lotus Gardens, as well as Olivenhout Bosch, so that we can. So this is a pilot phase, but if we find that there are successes, then we're able to roll this thing out nationally. And this is a commitment by the alcohol industry that we want to do our part in fighting crime, but also want to contribute positively to society. We're not all about profits, but we're all about sustainability, but also creating jobs in the township space.
Yeah, insofar as the CCTV cameras issue is concerned, obviously the first issue for many traders will be the cost. What would it cost for me to put cameras outside of my establishment and inside my establishment as well? Is that where the Liquor Traders Association could also come in?
Yes, so we are talking to various organizations that could actually support in terms of subsidizing the purchase of that, but also looking at the generators as well, because we need to be able to support our liquor traders in them being able to afford these essentials. Those have now become essentials and must have. For every liquor trader to be able to succeed, they need to be seen to be providing a safe environment for patrons to come in and enjoy alcohol in a responsible manner. So definitely that is something that we're working on, and we've got meetings lined up with financial institutions that are going to give support to these traders so that they are able to protect their patrons. Yeah.
And diversifying your business,
yes,
ultimately is what's going to result in longevity. In the meantime, investigations into both of these incidents we've been discussing are continuing. Police are still urging anyone with information to come forward and call the Crime Stop number. Lucky Ntimane, let me thank you for your time this morning. Thanks for unpacking the issue for us. National Liquor Trade Association convener Lucky Ntimane joining us here in studio.